Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to the Toronto Raptors 124-113 win against the Milwaukee Bucks, Ryker. After a really deflating loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves, this was much needed for the Toronto Raptors coming out against the Milwaukee Bucks. Kyle Lowry going down, as we will mention later on in this podcast, but fighting through that adversity and getting a much needed W.
What does this mean to the Raptors team now, Ben, moving forward? They were desperate for a win. They lost against the worst team in the NBA, the Minnesota Timberwolves. And this is a rival. This is probably the biggest rivalry for the Toronto Raptors. Some might say the Celtics. But of the past couple seasons, it's certainly, or obviously, the Cleveland Cavaliers, LeBron James teams. But up there has been the Milwaukee Bucks and the Raptors. They typically triumph, but not in the regular season. So it's a big win, Ben. What does it mean for this Raptors team now moving forward?
Well, after that Timberwolves game, it sort of became essential, these upcoming games, 2 against the Bucks, 2 against the Sixers, and obviously one more against the Timberwolves, to really dictate where this season's going to go. With the trade deadline looming, rumors being thrown out left, right, and center, the Raptors really need to show what they can do with this group, especially with OG Anunoby coming back right now, to really give Masai Ujiri an idea of what he has to play with going into the trade deadline, seeing what moves he needs to make, and this new small ball lineup that the Raptors threw out there tonight with starting Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, Norman Powell, OG Anunoby, and Siakam. I've been vouching for this for a long time. You've been saying move Lowry to the bench because this lineup would be a little bit too small, but tonight it looked like it really worked out, Riker, against a team that is known for dominating the paint, specifically with obviously Brook Lopez is a big guy, but more of a three-point shooter, but Giannis Antetokounmpo, who drives the lane every single possession, and the only real reason the Raptors have had success with him in the past is building those walls, and we thought Marc Gasol was sort of the essential piece to that, but tonight the Raptors made do with their smaller ball unit and really got under the Milwaukee Bucks' skin on the defensive end.
Now, I don't know how you can say too much that, the small ball lineup looked okay because there was foul trouble very early on. Kyle Lowry went out. Boucher played a lot. Aaron Baines got big minutes down the stretch. So although they started with the small ball lineup and in flashes, they were pretty good. They have to work on their rotation D a little bit better and collapsing in the paint. But I liked what I saw. I think what was even better was just that you have 5 guys in your starting lineup that are your best 5 players. There's no two ways around that, and it looked really nice. But Ben, what was the most promising to me was 46 points in the paint. We'll talk about how the Raptors are usually scared poopless against teams like the Boston Celtics, the Miami Heat, especially teams that don't have big shot blockers. But the Milwaukee Bucks, it makes a little bit more sense when you have such a long, imposing team. But Brook Lopez, he's getting older. There's not that many guys that are big shot blockers, big rim protectors. So if you go at them, if you challenge them and you get them into foul trouble, then that's the recipe for success. So Pascal, he kept that at all game long. And Fred VanVleet, even though he's the smallest guy on the court, he was going in there and finishing in the lane. So that's what I was the most promised about this game, Ben. I think that if the Raptors play like this again, they could win both of these games on the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, and this is the style, and I know what you're saying because there was foul trouble early, and the small ball unit didn't actually look that great in terms of the defensive end at the start, but specifically in the second half when the Raptors were really making their run, creating that separation with the Milwaukee Bucks, people were moving, the rotations were absolutely phenomenal. Even Bembry, who came off the bench with those smaller ball lineups and the quickness, it was just great to see. And you brought up Aaron Baines. I see the chat talking about Aaron Baines and how well he played tonight, because off the bench, Aaron Baines, this is what we've sort of expected from Aaron Baines coming into the season. A guy that could come in, and we thought it would happen in the starting unit, but provide solid enough rim presence, get in the way of people. Obviously, he's not going to be the most mobile defenders, and when he's out there, he does leave some three-point shooters open, but his strengths are more amplified when he's going up against bench players. So maybe his skill set isn't ideal versus the starting lineups of NBA teams, but when he's going up against the likes of Bobby Portis and DJ Augustine and these types of players, his strength, his size is there. He can sort of keep pace in the pick and roll to where he's not an absolutely horrific liability. And in the paint, he made some layups tonight. He looked a lot more comfortable. I think an added plus to running this small ball unit, Riker, is Aaron Baines is playing more of his natural position. So I'm just elated with this new sort of lineup, this new direction. Honestly, anything that switches up from where we were before, it's happy to see. Got the two fingers up.
Two layups in a row, Ben. Two layups in a row. This man, he goes 0 for 7 from inside the paint, and he made two layups in a row this game.
Yep.
And you're saying he's ideal against the bench unit. We'll see how that develops. If Lowry's out for extended time, then we might see him come back into the starting lineup. But I thought he played some of the best defense on Giannis this game, where he wasn't even bothering to try to get a steal, whereas a lot of the guys, they were hand-checking Giannis. They were trying to poke the ball away. Aaron Baines, he knows what his abilities are. He just stayed back and just prevented him from getting that sort of straight line drive, and it forced Giannis to make those pass offs. So, against a team that has very non-mobile, non-quick ball handlers, so to speak, this is a very preferable matchup for Aaron Baines. So a smaller team like Boston, there's maybe not a real opportunity for him to go out there and play unless it's when Tristan Thompson's maybe out on the court. But I liked what I saw a lot from him tonight. And Ben, we're going to keep the train moving before we go onto the offensive side, because there was a ton of highlights tonight. But I just want to say one last thing. Chris Middleton's an all-star for this team. They held him to only 8 shot attempts this game, 11 points. I forgot he was on this team. I didn't even see him take shots. So the Raptors, they clamped the guy that they had to clamp. If you're going to get, lose shots to Patrick Connaughton and the rest of their bench, their deep bench guys, then you'll live with that. But to shut down Chris Middleton, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, the Raptors have their way with sort of locking down these types of players. We've done it we had that list going on NBA or r/Raptors on Reddit, where the list of just stars looking sad and deflated, and I feel like Chris Middleton could get added to that list right now because of, as you mentioned, only 8 points, really struggled from the field. But there were some monster box scores for the Toronto Raptors tonight. Before we dive into it, if you were impressed with Fred VanVleet's performance tonight, leave a like on this video because it really helps us out. We're trying to grow the channel. We're on the road to 20,000 subscribers, so definitely like the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed, tell your friends, because the more people tell your friends, the more we can grow. So, but yeah, Fred VanVleet, just a ridiculous performance for him tonight. 33 points, 12 of 22 from the field, 5 of 12 from the three-point line, but 7 assists, and really hit clutch shots. And when Lowry went down with injury, he commanded over this team and started doing those Kyle Lowry winning plays that you need to have when you're going up against the Milwaukee Bucks of the world. And obviously we saw a couple weeks ago against the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah. To me, Fred VanVleet, would you agree with this, that Fred VanVleet is a rhythm player?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh,
because
1,000%.
To me, yeah, and I think that maybe that's the issue with running Fred and Kyle in tandem down the stretches. They both can't handle the ball, and Kyle Lowry seems to be the more ball handling dominant guy. So Fred VanVleet becomes more of a spot up guy. But we saw this game with Fred VanVleet, ball in his hands, pick and roll situations, driving, getting those contact finishes, step backs over Giannis. I mean, to me, that was all rhythm. So again, I'm in a very weird mental place about where I think Kyle Lowry's role is, where his fit is on this team. But we might see him now sit for a game or two and really be able to see what Fred VanVleet looks like running the one. And so this is not me bashing on Lowry. I'm just saying Fred VanVleet, he's shown really brilliant flashes this season. I just want to see that more often.
Yeah, and I guess we could throw it out now because we want to get rid of all the negativity of this podcast as early as possible. But the Damari Carroll Gold Star Award, it's to the injury gods out here just taking away what could have been a perfect game to watch as a Raptors fan. But Kyle Lowry, obviously the guy that's been, in my opinion, our best player so far this season, went down with injury. People are asking in the chat what happened to him, and it was a left ankle sprain. It looked like the announcers were sort of all over the place saying hip, back, all these sorts of things, but it looked like it was his left ankle. I think that's what they ended up talking about.
Left ankle tweak is what they called it, Ben.
Yeah, so you like to hear that language rather than even a strain or a break or something coming back negative. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. I'm not sure anyone knows the actual severity of it, but with the All-Star break, the 2-week break coming up around the corner, I'm sure the Raptors aren't going to rush him back. And as you mentioned, that'll give us a chance to really see what we have in this team and see what we can have going forward, because as we've said before, you mentioned it, Fred VanVleet's a natural point guard. Norman Powell's a natural 2 guard. And OG Anunoby's back so he can play the 3. Siakam's there. Maybe we run Boucher at center if we want to continue the small ball unit. Obviously, we're hoping it's absolutely nothing to Lowry. We want him to bounce back as soon as possible. But if he does go down, it'll be interesting to see how we sort of play with this lineup. And Lowry being named in trade rumors so much over the past couple of weeks. But definitely a big night from Fred VanVleet. Pascal Siakam following that horrific finish to that game, just the missed layup that went down. He got bagged on a lot for social media, so I don't want to dive into it too much. I thought he came back, struggled from the floor in terms of efficiency, 8 of 23 from the field, but I thought he came out with the right attitude tonight. 23 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists, driving in the lane on that Milwaukee Bucks defense that hates giving up layups, but as you mentioned, he was taking on Brook Lopez, just finishing around people, floaters down the stretch. He didn't look hesitant at all, which was really nice to see. And the one play that really summed up Pascal Siakam's mindset tonight was he came down the lane in one of these possessions. A lot of guys around him. Instead of going up for one of those soft finishes where he'd sort of fade back and look for a foul in recent games or most of the season, he came back and you're sort of imitating it right now. Yammed it down. It did bounce out around the rim, but seeing Siakam that determined to get buckets, always exciting to see.
You said it. That shows where his mental space is right now. He probably got blocked twice tonight. Big blocks from Giannis Antetokounmpo, and he still had the tenacity to go and try to finish above the rim, Ben. And he has the length, he has the size, he has the strength to do that. He just shies away from it. So I loved what I saw from him. That's what you have to do against the Milwaukee Bucks. And even if Kyle Lowry sits, who are the next couple of matchups against? I was going to say the Brooklyn 76ers, the Philadelphia 76ers. You're probably not going to play a small ball lineup against Joel Embiid. You could. Obviously the Celtics have their way against the 76ers when they play them typically, and they run a smaller lineup. But I don't hate to see Aaron Baines get the start against Joel Embiid. So it's going to be a fun stretch of basketball. I'm not taking away from tonight's game, but I think that they still need to put a couple more together before we can really get on the bandwagon that the Raptors are back. But it's a very promising win nonetheless, Ben. Do you want to take it to the segments?
Yeah, just a quick mention, Boucher played really well, 14 points tonight. Lowry was great before he went down with injury, so we'll leave the rest of it for the segments. But tonight, the spicy P-lay of the day, and we've been holding off on talking about it, but OG Anunoby returned from injury and looked a little bit like he was getting back into the form in the first half, was playing his solid defense as he usually does, but in that second half, played a lot better on the offensive end and had one of the smoothest plays of the season. Came in, that OG handle I was harping to death on during the playoffs, during the bubble. That return tonight, maybe that extended break he had with that calf strain was just him in his basement or whatever, just dribbling 24/7, because he had a move here where he had a little quick cross, another quick cross down the lane. You're doing it right now. Spin move. Bobby Portis right there, grabbing him, hugging him, and he hucks it up behind his head. That was one of the best spicy P-lay plays of the season. Had me just real excited seeing OG making these moves, coming back in these games.
It was a beauty, Ben. It was a beauty. He also hit a tough turnaround jumper. It was just a turnaround fadeaway jumper. I don't know
OG
who it was
or
on.
Kawhi Leonard. That's what Kyle Lowry's spamming in the chat.
Well, there you go. I couldn't tell the difference. Virtually undistinguishable, so you love to see it. Improved ball handles. You were harping it all off season. We haven't actually saw a lot of improved ball handles. We've actually seen more of a regression this season, but maybe just a little injury break is what it took for him to get the juices back and get a little bit more confidence built up then. But we're talking about OG in the spicy P-lay, and now we're about to talk about somebody else in the OGs. Do you have somebody for the OGs play of the day, Ben?
Well, not all play. I gotta bring up the segment. I wasn't ready, Ricker. Not all plays can be the spicy P-lay of the day, and some just make you say, "Oh, geez." And there's definitely a few. Norman Powell had a couple possessions there at the end where had me a little bit frightened. He was running into traffic like Russell Westbrook, his workout buddy from the Summers, but The biggest OGs for this game was, I think, in the second quarter. The Raptors, they came out strong, came out firing in this one, looking really good. And then second quarter, things sort of looked like they were going to fall apart. The Bucks, Pat Connaughton was looking like he was going to challenge Fred VanVleet's 54-point stretch and 11 threes. He was looking like that version of Fred VanVleet tonight early on. Splashing threes. Terence Davis just was not into this game right now. He was in nowhere world guarding Pat Connaughton and left him open from three a lot. And the Bucks end up getting out to an 11 in the second quarter, and it looked bad for the Toronto Raptors. Thankfully, they came back out, but unfortunately, that run made me say, oh, geez.
Yeah, I'm eyeing the box score here to see what really happened during that stretch. Bembry, who I thought played better than his plus minus, he was really the only guy in the sort of deep negatives. Chris Boucher, obviously, he came back and played some good minutes in the fourth, but yeah, you were worried when some guys started coming out with that early foul trouble, that 10, 12 to nothing stretch by the Milwaukee Bucks was going to be the nail in the coffin like it typically is. Once the Raptors go down 10, they find it really hard to battle back, but credit to them. They played with a lot of good sort of mental effort. Their mind was on the victory, and they just played steady this entire game. So I liked what I saw a lot, Ben, and we already touched on the DeMarre Carroll at the beginning of this one. Obviously, injuries, you don't want to see it. So I'm looking forward to it. I think that the Raptors, hopefully they get some rest, come back out, get 2 W's on the Bucks, and then just move right along to, I think the Timberwolves are first, and then 2 more against the best in the East, 76ers.
Yeah, definitely going to be an exciting few games for the Raptors to watch. But I do have a mini DeMarre Carroll Gold Star Award, and I mentioned it earlier. Terence Davis has really struggled as of late, and with the bubble struggles that he had, we thought he'd sort of bounce back in the season when he got back into rhythm, but unfortunately, he just has looked abysmal this year, just in terms of decision making. The threes aren't going down. The shot creation that we saw last year has not looked good for TD2, so what's the real question for him? Because we've seen Stanley Johnson, Bembry, Yuta when he's in games, overtake him in the rotation. Then he's sort of bounced back, but still hasn't played to a certain level we'd expect from him. Much worse than he did in his rookie season, pre-bubble especially. So Matt Thomas got some run tonight, and he didn't really do much with it. Didn't see any horrible plays, didn't have any horrible lapses on defense, but didn't really run with it in that case. What are the minutes for TD2 looking like? Because he looked like he bounced back or in terms of the rotation, in terms of getting minutes. But after tonight's performance and some extended poor decision-making, poor stretches on defense, I don't know if he's going to get an opportunity for a while. He might end up in the doghouse with Matt Thomas.
Well, how shocked were you to see Matt Thomas tonight, Ben?
I thought after that first quarter he was coming in. I thought after that first stretch of TD playing, I thought Thomas was going to come in. But really? I was looking for him to make a shot. I thought tonight was the night.
What's up with Stanley Johnson?
Just didn't run him. I guess Nurse knows we need a bit more offense, and I guess he tried to give those minutes to TD2 or to Matt Thomas.
I'm also looking at too what people are saying in the comment section. People are going on about trades and stuff right now, but yeah, I don't know. Terence Davis, there's always 1 or 2 Raptors that seem like they're playing themselves out of the rotation, which you hate to see, but at least we have guys like Bembry that are playing themselves into the rotation. Yep. So you're almost doing a little swap-a-roo. Obviously, you're going to get more offense, technically, from Terence Davis, who we saw have a 15, 16-game stretch last season that was spectacular. And we thought that this guy might be the next Norm Powell. This guy might be the next great shooting guard off the bench for the Toronto Raptors, but he's taken a real step back. I don't know if it's on the court, off the court stuff. We don't need to beat that to death, but bad obviously to use there, but with everything happening, so I'm not sure. I think that it's probably more in his game, and at the end of the day, like, if you have a guy that's not out there, he's not confident, he's not making his shots, he's not making his sort of pull-up jumpers, he's not making his spot-ups, you can't have him in there. And if somebody like Bembry's going to come out, maybe not give you as much offense, but definitely more hustle, then I'd still play him over Terence Davis.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. And we got the chat blowing up, looking for trades, looking for everything. There's also, it looks like HS and Adam Ellis, they're out there doing the Lord's work, asking people to like. So definitely like this video. But we got to sound it off, Ryker. We're sounding it off. That's right. The final alarm has gone off, so we want to hear your guys in the chat. I've seen Mark, or I think it's just Mark. He's been asking the question: do we still want Andre Drummond in these deals? Riker, I'm not on the Andre Drummond bandwagon anymore. I post on our TikTok, our IG reels. If we're going after a guy like Drummond, get Hassan Whiteside. He's $30 million cheaper. He does everything Andre Drummond does. I'd get him. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm looking at John Collins, but Hassan Whiteside. If are you getting much of an improvement, Hassan Whiteside, from Aaron Baines in terms of pick and roll defense, in terms of interior scoring, maybe a little bit better shot blocking, but we saw what he can do on the Sacramento Kings. If we're making a trade that you have to give away assets, I'm looking at John Collins.
Yeah, John Collins. People they're all over the place with the Whiteside take. The TikTok people were more fans, but maybe they're younger. They like the Miami Heat. Hassan Whiteside. Andre Iguodala's being brought up. Would you trade for Andre Iguodala?
Let me put this out to the comment section. Would you trade for a deal that includes Duncan Robinson coming to the Toronto Raptors? Or Ben?
Or Ben?
Yeah, or you.
Yo,
Would you trade for him?
I think I could compete with Duncan Robinson, a little 3-point shootout. I'm streaky. You get me on a good streak, we could come out there. Mo Bamba is the name that's been brought up consistently. Would you want to see Mo Bamba get picked up?
No.
Sheck West make a few songs about the Toronto Raptors. Yeah, the insurance pylon. People are back on the insurance pylons bandwagon, so there it is. Serge Ibaka's an interesting piece. I think he'd fit in perfectly at the center position. Do you think we should make a move for that Clipper center?
Who is the Clippers center? I'm reading through the comments here now too.
Serge Ibaka?
No. He's not loyal. He's a casual.
That's a rip. They want Eric Moreland back. Shout out Scottie Pippen's wife, Collins for who? Get that first round pick. Riker, everyone seems to be calling for you and I to join the squad. Maybe we got to post some of those U15 provincial highlight tapes on YouTube and send them over to the Raps because, we had
I'll put together a mix
of
me dunking on 9-foot rims, barely, rim grazers, show my athleticism.
That's respect. And I guess the last name I will talk about in the final stretch, Naz Reid, Riker. I don't know if you're familiar with his game. Plays for the Timberwolves. Little shooter. He's a big man. He's nimble for a bigger guy. Would you be interested in picking him up?
No.
Hey, he's nice in fantasy. If you got those deep fantasy leagues, pick up Naz Reid. Bebe Nogueira, he's retired. I'd love to bring him back. But that's enough for the chat tonight. That's enough for the video because we're going a little bit long here. But you guys are the best for making this far. Check out the Twitter, the Instagram, all the cool stuff. The TikTok, the IG Reels, that's been popping recently. So check all that stuff out over there. Articles being posted left, right, and center. So I'm telling you guys, everyone in the chat, check out those articles. Everyone like this video. Shout out to you guys in the chat. You're going. People that are promoting the likes, promoting the subscribes. As we said, if all of our subscribers tell 1 or 2 friends to subscribe, that's exponential growth right there. So definitely a quick way to grow, Riker. Do you have any last words on this game?
Can we make it 2, Ben? Can we make it 3, 4, 5 in a row in this stretch of games? I think so. Raptors are going to emerge top of the East. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Cheers.
Cheers.